In this lesson, we're going to put together a lot of the things that we've learned. We're going to simplify expressions, and we're going to use all of our operations. Since we're going to use multiple operations, we have to review order of operations. So let me just remind you that this is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. The difference being, as you start to do one of these operations, you're going to need to remember the rules for that operation. For that reason, I have summarized them on this page. So you might pause and write some of these down again. For addition, if you have positive plus positive, you add and get a positive sum. If you have negative plus negative, you add and get a negative sum. If you have one of each, negative and positive or positive and negative, because they're going in different directions, you're going to subtract and keep the sign of the larger, the one that is dominant. Okay, subtraction. Subtraction is the one that we grab our red pen. If you see a subtraction, you know you're going to keep the first quantity exactly as it is. You're going to change from subtraction to addition. You're going to change the sign of the second quantity to its opposite. Once you've done that, you're going to use the addition rules. Then finally, multiplication or division, either one. If the signs are alike of the two numbers, you get a positive answer. If the signs are different, you get a negative answer. Then finally, I will mention something that's over here in this helpful hint. If you have a negative base, let me write it differently. If you have a negative base and you raise it to an even power, you get a positive. If you have a negative base and you raise it to an odd power, you get a negative. Now, if the base is not in parentheses, then its sign is not affected by this. So if you have a negative with no parentheses and any exponent, you're going to get a negative. Okay, so let's use all of those rules. All right, number one. We have 9 times 3 to the second power. Thinking about what Aunt Sally says. Parentheses aren't any. Exponents, yes. 3, which is a positive base, to the second power, 3 times 3 is 9. Then I have multiplication. 9 times 9 is 81. Okay, my answer is 81. I didn't have any negatives to concern myself with. Let's look at number 2. I have 6 minus 19 minus 3. Order of operations, because there's more than one operation. Aunt Sally would say, if you have subtraction, subtraction, go left to right. Let's do the first subtraction. Red pen. Keep 6, change to positive, change the second sign to its opposite. So now it is 6 plus negative 19. What do the addition rules say? A positive and a negative, you're going to subtract for 13. The big one was negative, so negative 13 minus 3. Okay, it's still subtraction. Red pen time again. Keep, change, change. What do the addition rules say? It says if you have a negative plus a negative, you add them up for 16, but they're both negative, so it is negative 16. I use the subtraction rule each time to change it. Once it was changed, it became an addition problem. Number 3. I have 4 plus 8 parentheses negative 7. Now, in the Aunt Sally rules, P for parentheses, when I look inside these parentheses, there's nothing to do. These parentheses are not holding an operation to do. These are just number holders. So I can really ignore those parentheses as far as what do I do first. I have addition and I have multiplication. Multiplication has a higher priority. Positive 8 times negative 7, a positive times a negative gives me negative 56. And I have 4 plus negative 56 now. All right, addition rules. In my mind, I'm having to hop from sets of rule to sets of rules. All right, the addition rules. When one's positive and one's negative, I subtract. 4 from 56 gives me 52. The bigger one was the negative, so I get negative 52. So I use the multiplication rules, then I use the addition rules. Number 4. I have 5 times negative 6 plus 4. Order of operations would tell me to multiply before I add. In the multiplication rules, a positive times a negative gives me negative 30 plus 4. Now it's addition. I shift gears in my mind to the addition rules. If I have a negative 30 and a positive 4, I'm going to subtract. 4 from 30 is 26. The big one was negative, so it is negative 26. Number 5. I have negative 10 in parentheses plus 6 divided by 3. The parentheses around this negative 10, they're optional. They're just holding a negative number. My operations are addition and division. Division has a higher priority. 6 divided by 3 gives me 2. So I have negative 10 plus 2. One's negative, one's positive. I'm going to subtract. 2 from 10 is 8. The bigger one was the negative, so it is negative 8. Number 6. I think I'm going to give myself a little bit more room to do this one. Stretch it out a little bit more. All right. I have 2 plus 8 times 6 minus 10. I look at the operations. I have addition, multiplication, subtraction. Multiplication has the highest priority. 8 times 6 is 48. So I'm going to subtract. Okay. I have addition and subtraction. They have the same priority. I do them left to right. 2 plus 48 gives me 50. Finally, I have 50 minus 10. Now I think everybody would just say that's 40, and that's correct. But if you say to yourself, oh, I thought I was supposed to get my red pen out because it's subtraction, you can. Keep, change, change. The addition rules say if there is one positive and one negative, you're going to subtract. 10 from 50 is 40. You're going to keep the sign of the big one. It's positive. So you can use that special rule for subtraction, or in this case, you could have done it without. All right, number 7. And I will be skipping a few of these if I think you've got enough examples. I have 16 minus 6 over negative 5. Well, I'm going to take care of the numerator first. I could just look at it and say, well, 16 minus 6, it's 10. It always has been 10. I could have gotten out my red pen and said keep, change, change. A positive and a negative under the addition rules, I subtract. 6 from 16 is positive 10 because the big one was positive. And it is over negative 5. Okay, I get to think about my division rules. And I get to move things around. I'm sorry about that. When one of each, when they're different, I'm going to get negative, and it goes in there 2 times. All right, look at number 9. I have 4 times negative 2 minus parentheses negative 15. What are my operations? I have multiplication right here, and I have subtraction. I'm not going to go grab my pen because I'm supposed to do multiplication first. I don't do my keep, change, change till I'm actually working on the subtraction. I set positive 4 times negative 2, the rules for multiplication, so that will be a negative 8 minus negative 15. Now, this is subtraction. Grab my red pen. I keep, I change, I change. Now I use the well, I keep making mistakes. All right, touching the wrong thing. Now the addition rules say if you have a negative and a positive, you're going to subtract. Okay, 8 from 15 is 7. The bigger number was the 15 and it was positive, so it is positive 7. All right, a few more. This is similar to number 10. in your exercises. I have 3 times 5 minus 8 times 4 plus parentheses negative 22. All right, I have multiplication, subtraction, multiplication, addition. Okay, multiplication has a higher priority than anything else, so I'll do it left to right. Positive 3 times positive 5 gives me 15. Copy down the entire rest of the problem. Moving to I have subtraction, multiplication, addition, so I'll do this. 8 times 4 is 32. So I will copy down everything else. Now I have subtraction and addition. They have the same priority. I'm going to move left to right. The first one is subtraction. Ooh, getting my red pen. Keep, change to addition, change that to its opposite, which is negative 32. What do I do with that addition? I have a positive and a negative, so I subtract. So I'm going to have 17. And the big one was negative, so I'm going to have negative 17 plus negative 22. My last operation is addition. A negative and a negative means I'm going to add them up for 39, and it's going to be negative 39. So I used a lot of rules then. I used multiplication a couple of times. I used subtraction to do keep, change, change, and then I did addition rules. All right. Number 12. I have parentheses, 6 minus 2, close parentheses, squared, divided by 4 minus 2, close parentheses, squared. Order of operations tells you to do what's in parentheses first. And I have 2 sets, so I'll do the one on the left first. 6 minus 2. Well, we don't need any high-powered rules to know that that's going to be 4. So I'm going to have 4 squared divided by 4 minus 2 squared. I'm following the rules exactly. The rules tell me to go over here and do the second set of parentheses next. Okay, 4 minus 2, it's 2. So I have 4 squared divided by 2 squared. You don't have to have these parentheses because these are positive bases. If they were negative, it would make a difference. Okay, I'll do this exponent first because it's on the left. 4 to the second power is 4 times 4, which is 16, divided by 2 squared. You see that I always do just one step at a time. This exponent, 2 to the second power, means 2 times 2, which is 4. Finally, I have 16 divided by 4, which is 4. I didn't end up with any negatives because of the kind of subtraction I had. So this is 4. Okay, let's see what happens on this last one. This is the last example I've chosen to do. I have 5 times 5 minus 2 in parentheses plus, in parentheses, negative 5 squared minus 9. Okay, order of operations says to do multiplication. All right, so I'm going to do what's in parentheses first. And I have some subtraction. I'm not grabbing my red pen because we know that 5 minus 2 is 3. So I have 5 times 3 plus negative 5 quantity squared minus 9. Okay, multiplication, addition, exponent, subtraction. Well, exponents. A negative base raised to an even power, that means it's a negative 5 times a negative 5, negative times negative, positive 25. Copy everything else down. Some of you may be getting frustrated with me because I only do one step at a time. But that is, I'm following the letters of the law right now. You could skip some steps or do some multiple steps, but I'm not going to. All right, so now I have multiplication, addition, subtraction. I'm going to do the multiplication. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 25 minus 9. Addition and subtraction, they share priority, so I'm just going to go left to right. Add 15 and 25 for 40. And then 40 minus 9 is 31. So I didn't have to work too much with negative numbers in that. But that lesson combined all of my rules along with order of operations. So you might want to go back and make sure that you are comfortable with the rules for addition of integers, subtraction of integers, multiplication and division, and the rules about exponents. So you can pause this at any time to get the rules that you might need. Okay, good luck with that one.